Children spirits.
Good morning. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. My name is Patience. I'm your favorite spirit medium, host of Spirit News on all major platforms. If you love what we do here and you want to be a part of our community and you're going through your own ascension and your own awakening, just know that you're not alone and we have provided our whole journey for you, guided by spirits on Spirit News, which is a podcast where you can find all of those valuable nuggets of knowledge and intentional, deliberate creation for your guidance. We're so happy to be here. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you like what we do here. We're bringing you some 5D news. We're getting higher perspectives of linear views with our spirit team. Ooh, there's a shapeshifter. Yeah. We want to make sure that as much news that's being pumped out to us on their fake platforms, we want to make sure that we're getting higher perspectives of everything they say, because clearly, man, I don't want to say men, but humans are not capable of such great responsibility. Okay, so in this time of awakening, it's going to feel a little chaotic. We told you in the past that we need to prepare for a lot of mental health in our loved ones and in the public eye and even in current events, because the beast that the Bible spoke of in Revelations, the beast that the Bible spoke of is witchcraft, is energy manipulation, is deceptions and illusions and lies that get told to us to keep us from understanding how things truly work. So we're here to reveal truth, to be God's messengers. And who gonna fire me? God hired me. Okay. I want to say thank you to all the other readers and all the other people who put their necks on the line, that show up for us, that deliver the messages, that are praying, that are meditating, that are doing grid work, that are doing the things that need to be done. These are the people that don't talk about what they're doing. They don't label themselves. They go to work every day and then they show up for us to make sure that they're revealing truth, even if most of the society wouldn't believe the spiritual and actual things that are going on. I can 100% promise you that just because you don't believe it don't mean it ain't happening. Okay. So Spirit already said corruption, children's spirits, there's a shapeshifter and go. So we got to remember that the ancient powers that were practice in ancient fertility rituals that they've done for millennia, for millions of years, and it's been documented throughout time through Greek mythology, through fairy tales, through stories that we chalk up to being myths, or fables, but they all have a little bit of truth to them, but they're so outside of our scope of reality of what they tell us that we often chalk it up to be make-believe or just not real. But the truth is stranger than fiction, I'll tell you that right now. Okay, and I know 100% for a fact that it's true, because I am one of many people who are awakening, who went through ritual abuse, who went through certain types of witchcraft and spiritual warfare. So I am here showing up for you, letting you know that that shit's real and there's a way to combat it. There's a way to overcome it. There's a way to reject it and to not even be a match to it. Okay, so that's what we're here for. So let's do it. We're getting 5D perspective of what's going on. Spirit, what's going on? We're here to help. You're aware of me. I sure am. So I did do a book. Oh, maybe the Spirit wants us to do a book. Which one? I'll do the superstitions. Okay, omens and superstitions. Hey, everybody. Hello. Thanks for being here. Just getting some 5D news. Unity. Absolutely. We are in unity consciousness. Inadequate. Okay. K. I got the letter K here. All right. I got the letter K here. Corey! Hey, buddy! What's up, man? Hi! So, there's something about a possessed woman, possibly whose name starts with a K. Something that she was warned about as a young girl, but she never believed that it would turn to a boiling point. Spirit said Nellie? Well, yay! I don't know what Nellie has to do with this, but Spirit said Nellie 12-2 in the chat. Something about a kingfisher, Noah. Somebody's possessed, though. Absolutely true. They thought that they were protected from evil spirits, but there's something. If a woman possesses a ring of keys which continually get rusty despite her efforts to keep them clean, this is a good omen, for it means that someone among her family or friends is planning to leave her money in their will. This superstition, prevalent through much of the industrial Midlands of England, is claimed in several recorded instances to be absolutely true. In Europe, it is said a child can be protected from all evil spirits by sleeping with a key under their pillow. Interesting. Well, there's something about somebody whose name starts with a K that was warned about those spirits said phantom, that if they continued to do some kind of work, that they would not be protected by evil spirits, that it would claim confirmation that it would claim them and keep them from being clean. And there's something about an inheritance or a will. Okay, so that was for somebody. I don't know who that's for. I'm trying to get 5D news of world news, but I can't control what comes through. They were using some kind of magic power and became looked upon as a sacred act by men and women that they mingled with. But there was a dark proposal that was made with a man with a mustache. That was kept from her lips. Thank you. That was kept from her lips. And that's funny because I got this song Wallflower, and it has these lips with the tongue sticking out, and it's like a plant. So there's something about something that this person did not say. They basically were told, they were warned about doing something, and instead of heeding the warning, they invited other people to do some kind of magic that involves kissing, that all of them started to view as a sacred act, or that they told them was a sacred act, but that was foolish because evil is indiscriminate and they're destined to die an old maid alone. And there's possibly a husband and children walking away from them, or they will be unlucky. They'll be unlucky all year round. Nothing they do will flower. Nothing they do will birth newness. Bad luck again. Yeah. Because they were warned of an omen. They chose to ignore they chose to ignore an omen. Okay. I don't know why people will overlook warnings and think that they're like above the warnings, that they possess some kind of protection that they don't have. Yeah. Back. Oh, back. Something they were doing under the moon in innumerable amount of times, possibly hundreds of thousands of times, that they were doing in a circle under the moon. But it is causing madness. And they could be becoming a lunatic because they're possessed. They wanted people to respect her, but it turned into wanting people to worship her.
There is a shapeshifter.
A shapeshifter. She was lining her pockets with silver, doing something by the moon. She advised these people to bow because she was married to some kind of supernatural entity that she claimed gave her power, or some kind of sacred power. They plan for months, every moon cycle or something. They plan every month, every moon cycle, to do something on an altar, or they have an altar, something they repeat. They repeat a verse over and over again. But this has caused them to take 3 steps back because they've been purchasing with coins they lined with their pocket from superstitions. They're becoming a creature, a money spider, due to an old belief system. Hi, everyone. Due to an old belief system that they were warned about, that doing this would bring forth an omen against their wealth. Now they'll never be rich or be able to mend their clothes. And they'll never be able to explain why. Why won't they be able to explain why? Revenge. Because they did it out of revenge. Someone has the spirit of revenge on them. What's this revenge about? The first day, it was an adventure. The first day they did it. And they were expecting someone to fall ill and be sick for a considerable time. They wanted someone to endure much discomfort, a child that was born. They wanted this to be done on a child that was born to live a long time, to be happy and prosperous. And that's funny because I did this song. It's by Tim Atlas. And it says, I know I'm usually not your type, but I checked, our stars are not aligned. Which leads me to believe that this person may have done some kind of divination on somebody and found out a future timeline. Terror. And for whatever reason, this person didn't like that. But they wanted to remain anonymous because they didn't want people to know that their ill omen that they were projecting onto somebody born to live a lifetime of happiness and prosperity, that they had a vengeful heart against them. They never wanted them to marry. They never wanted them to have lovers. It's like, what in the world am I reading? I don't know. I was not wanting to do a personal reading for someone, but
Go further.
Go further, Spirit says. Okay. Second day. The second day, they decided to buy some particular seeds for growing in their garden. Some type of, maybe some kind of root work they paid for. Perhaps overseas or from someone overseas to cause an enduring discomfort. Oh, smile. Well, I'm not reading tarot cards, so you have nothing to worry about. And you cannot limit the way God wants to talk to you. So, if you want to be limited in the way God can talk to you, then you will have limitations towards the messages you receive from God. So, just be careful for what you're projecting out.
Draining.
Draining, yeah. Third day. The third day.
Blood.
Oh, Spirit said blood. The third day, you will not live long. Some kind of criminal act was taken in blood and committed on this day that they never thought that they would be caught for. Possibly some kind of death ritual on a child born, for a child not to live long. On the fourth day, their operations started to connect many houses and buildings and politics in a chosen profession that they needed to gain fortuitous efforts to a star born, to a child born as a star. On the fifth day, something about weather, controlling the weather. They did something. This is giving me the vibes of somebody that's slowly using energy manipulation. You know, they do one thing and they see that that works. And so then they do another thing to see if it works. You know, they're using, it seems like somebody who's being warned not to keep making greater and greater strides in this energy manipulation, but there's something about them having a vengeful spirit.
Despair.
I have special needs. Can you please pray? How are you doing this morning? I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. They could be in despair now because they were warned about creating this curse or this omen, that it wasn't going to stick to the person they were trying to give it to. But they ignored it because I don't know why. I don't know why they ignored it. And they involved other people. Why did they ignore it? Rabbit are white rabbits. Because they were receiving some kind of good luck at the time. I feel like this energy always comes up. Something about good luck. I don't know. Spirit, can I get a bigger view? I'm tired of reading that energy. I'm trying to get 5D news here. Hello. Thank you for being here. All right, Spirit, what are the elites up to today? What are the elites up to? Tell me. Watching. Sharp tools make good work. Sharp tools make good work. Sharp tools make good work. They could be watching. They could be using the tools they have that they know of to alter intense. They're trying to use full moons to and practitioners to alter the collective confirmation. DL on the down low. Important update, patience. Your health plan. So something about health, the health of the collective. Sometimes fear does not subside and you must do it afraid. I had that the other day. Let me next see that. Hey from Vegas. I used to live in Vegas. I used to go to school in Vegas. Not my favorite place to live, but do you need anything like prayers, help, or just encouragement? No, thank you. But thanks for asking. Baldini, beta, sex, and TV. Old. Something about the old world. The old world is crumbling. The old world is not... God's not allowing this old mind to flourish or do the things they used to do. Oh, look at this. Basquiat. That is wild. The people that were involved in these fertility rituals, they're becoming fragmented. They're becoming extremely fragmented because they've displaced their energy in so they do fertility rituals, right? So the fertility ritual is meant to do an energy exchange for abundance. Okay. And so, but how energy works and what they were not told by the entities that tricked them into doing this energy harvesting is that it keeps your energy fragmented because when you do the fertility ritual, especially when you're doing it with multiple people, you're displacing your own energy into many other people's own energy. And so you're basically, because you can't destroy energy, you're basically exchanging a piece of your energy for someone else's every time you do it. So if these people did this an innumerable amount of times, what it means is that energetically they are fragmented that amount of times. And as we get closer to the sun and more truth begins to be revealed, the fragmented pieces of themselves that they repress, that they don't look at, that they, aren't aware need to be looked at, keeps them fragmented and in a tormented kind of mentally unbalanced and unstable perception, because basically it's like being possessed. And I know that the movies make Charles, Spirits of Charles. I know that in the movies the way they make demonic possession look is very like dramatized. It's not exactly like that. It is similar in some ways, but it's different. And so these people are basically open vessels because they have no protection. They have no vital force. Even just to wake up and feel good, these people are not even, they don't even get, they don't even get to escape through drugs or sleeping, because they've allowed their bodies to be open vessels that anything can come in and out of it, and they have no vital force and they have no protection. So they're absolutely 100% at this time being tormented, fragmented. I think my energy is giving me schizophrenia. Well, have you ever played with black magic or wished ill will on somebody, or wished that someone would die, or that someone wouldn't succeed, or if you're experiencing schizophrenia, what it means is that you're open or susceptible to conflict energy, trickster entities. Okay, I have this IKEA. So they're any ideas they have right now are from a fragmented place. So they're in this energy of feeling like they might have good ideas, like the entities are making them.
Where's my body?
The entities are giving them ideas that they think in their torment and in their perception are good ideas that they should keep perpetuating based off of old mind tactics and old rituals. But it's actually causing more discomfort. It'll just cause more discomfort. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. What is this idea?
Chaos.
Chaos. Yeshua says, I see you. I see you. You can't keep doing the same things. Yeah, it's this weird, distorted belief. It's because the Bible, these people that, the elites or whatever you want to call them, these families, this religious group, this, I don't know what you want to call them, but they basically have been operating in this illusion that what they do is what God is asking of them. Okay? But it's not true, because God doesn't ask you to do things like this. And so there's something that they keep doing in the name of God or in the name of Jesus or whatever. They keep on doing that, thinking it's a good idea, thinking that it's going to change something that's moving forward, something that you can do it. Yeah, it's the energy attachments that they have when they're basically possessed. And I don't want that to come off like religious or like you think it's like a movie. It's not like that. It is like Legion. It's like Legion. They do serve a different God, but they think, it's like they justify what they do because they make it look like this is what God wants, but Yeshua was like, it's because they think that what they do, because what they're doing, nobody knows what they're doing, that therefore they can do it. You see what I'm saying? And then if anyone questions them, they say, oh, well, God told me to do it. Or, they make it part of their religion. The Jewish, possibly, yes. Yeah, because it doesn't, you know what? Let me just make sure. I think that the Jewish religion does denounce Yeshua as...
Where am I?
How do the Jesuits feel about Yeshua? No, not Joshua. Yeshua. The Jesuits Society of Jesus view Jesus Christ, often referred to them in the context of his historical identity as Yeshua, as the central focus of their lives, spirituality, and mission. Their relationship with him is foundational, characterized as a personal friendship and a commitment to finding God in all things. Contemplation and historical Jesus, engaging in Gospels. Yeah, so there's something about how they use Yeshua as a way to like perpetuate these rituals. They perpetuate the ritual. Sometimes I'm the mess, sometimes I'm the broom. On the hardest days, I have to be both. The broom. They deny Yeshua, so the Father denies them. Only those who believe in Yeshua are truly saved. Yeah, it's definitely something about this energy of legion convincing people to act in these ways or to do rituals in the name of Yeshua. You know, like it tricks them into thinking that it's something that God wants them to do, or their God, however you want to say it. So they're definitely, but they're using other cultural practices. You know, they're using other cultural practices or spiritual beliefs to perpetuate something. What are they perpetuating? Hey, you dropped this. Yeah, to perpetuate the illusion on us, because that's the beast that is spoke of in, this is the beast that's spoken of in Revelations. It's witchcraft. Every cycle, these same kind of energies, when they get put to sleep, go hard in the paint. It's the Titans. They're going to be going to sleep, but they put these illusions on the collective to alter their minds. To alter our minds. It's why Gentiles get into heaven. The Jews denied Christ, so God opened up to all that would receive him and believed in his son. I do what I love. Yeah, there's something about them that it's like this true, I don't know if they're like, if they've just done it so much that they're lying to themselves. I don't know. I just work here. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, hold on, I gotta take a drink of water. Yeah. The powers that be have justified doing something for so long that, and something that worked for so long that it's when you allow, Spirit always talks about the choice of allowing your darkness to either walk in the darkness or choose to walk in the light. And when you constantly feed your dark, when you constantly feed your dark thoughts, it's just like a garden, and whatever you're watering, whatever thoughts you're watering is going to be what grows within you. And so if you come to a place of power where you're constantly watering, you know, hurting people and having control and needing power over people, those are things that you'll never have. And when you're chasing those things by hurting others, it becomes like something you have to feed. And so they start to like love it. You know, it starts to become part of their identity. And we're gathering the components for the new episode of Spirit News, Spirit and Identity. And what we're finding is that whatever thoughts you feed the most will become your identity, but it doesn't mean that it's true. It's just because of your lack of awareness that we're all connected. That we're all connected. When you separate yourself and you start to believe that you have no power, that you know that you have no control, you start to seek out the shadow within you that you're feeding. Those thoughts start to seek out ways to control things, small things. And it might start as like a child, or it might start as, you know, drugs or whatever, you know, whatever it is. But people in power, it's usually like money and health and stuff. And when they start to feel like they control those things, they start to believe in their mind that the things they're doing to have control over these aspects make them powerful. And you're freaking awesome. You know, it starts to create this delusion that what I'm doing, my philosophy, is giving me the short-term identity of control, making me feel powerful, but it's just short term. They have to keep doing it over and over and over again to keep the control, or to keep that aspect of control. So they aren't actually controlling anything unless they do this. But the thing about energy manipulation is when you start to give away your divine energy, your divine force, and you start giving your power away, you're exchanging energy with other fragmented people, and so your field looks horrid. If you could see it from a 5D perspective, it would look dirty, it would look cracked, and it would look like a mess, like it'd look ugly, it would look ugly. And so, but what it does is it makes these people delusional. It makes them believe, it gives them severe mental health. But because they're in their perception, it's just like how they say a narcissist gets produced. Some will argue that narcissism is directly related to dark energies, to energy manipulation, because to become a narcissist, you have to be so fragmented that you have to create, of course, Spirit said, you have to create your own reality to even be able to function in that bubble. And so you're not operating out of true reality, you're operating out of the reality that you created to keep you feeling safe and secure in that identity. And so it's not that you actually are that identity, it's that you created it so no one could penetrate, your safety mechanism. And so I'm not, it's a thin line, because obviously abusers and the powers that be have abused their power, and they're creating the infection of narcissism across the world because of their energy manipulation, and it's trickling down on a micro scale. But ultimately what's happening on a 5D level is that they've given all their vital force away by doing horrible things to make them feel like they have power and control. And then by doing that, they've created a reality. Their electromagnetic field is filled with a reality that only they can see. And so they are acting in a way where they're basically possessed, because they're not functioning vessels. They're allowing energy to come in and out. Well, they're doing this on a subconscious level, on a 5D level. In a 3D level, their mind is perceiving it as their reality. Okay, that's what's happening. Child abusers are done for. No prayer work for them, and their prayers are unheard. Well, that's the thing. It's like, I have been abused as a child, and so just the other day, I came to a level of healing where Spirit was like, okay, you're ready for another, as you heal, as you take back the fragmented pieces of yourself, that ritual abuse or abusers take on a 5D level, you have to reclaim those pieces of yourself. You have to reclaim it. But if you reclaim everything all at once, you could go into psychosis. And so what's happening is that a lot of us who made a decision to not perpetuate the abuse that's being shown at a macro level and a micro level, through the ritual abuse, through the rituals. I was ritualistically abused, and my, parents before me and their parents and so on and so forth. And in my reality, I'm the one who chose to not perpetuate that abuse, but it was done to me. And so what I'm saying is these people are not willing to accept what they've done, because they perpetuated things that were done to them. And it's really difficult to accept that you didn't change it, or that you thought it was okay to, not thought it was okay, but you acted unconsciously. And so a lot of these people are breaking and have kind of given up, and just are like in like the pilot seat. They're just floating, like, get out. They're in the nothing. They're in an empty space, just kind of watching their body go through the motions, but the entity, the legion that is jumping in and out of all these vessels, have one common denominator, and that's that they live in a fractured universe where they have to perpetuate these old ancient rituals to extract energy. And so they don't really care about the vessels. They just want food. They just want energy. Okay, so the vessels that have already been fragmented beyond, there's, I don't know if there's, God says, everyone can heal, everyone can get to a place of healing. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it in this lifetime, but anything's possible. So that's why I say we should keep our prayers open for them to come into healing, so they don't keep perpetuating these things lifetime after lifetime. But God wants everyone to heal, and God thinks every experience is valuable. So how do you know all this?
Liam.
Because I'm reading the energy. Their pain will be unfathomable for eternity. That's how much God cares for children. Absolutely. Their pain will be equivalent to what they gave, and their pain will continue until they realize that everyone's worthy of forgiveness, and you must forgive yourself if you want to move on. You have to forgive yourself. Okay. So they're definitely in an illusionary type of energy. Be the energy you want to attract. But that's yes, thank you, Spirit. That's what I was saying about the prayers. It's like, it's a tough thing for humans to get their mind around, because here we are with people who have done travesties to children and innocent people. But at the same time, if we're not extending a branch of forgiveness and prayer for them to one day overcome the pain that they went through and to forgive themselves, then we actually perpetuate the cycle through not
Thier.
opening that door. So it's tough. Be the energy you want to attract. If you were in the shoes of somebody who went through so much pain that they had to create an illusion just to live every day, it's like, that's why all these people were susceptible to the idea that was given to them by these entities, because of the chip on their shoulder, because of their wound of unworthiness, because they had horrible things happen to them. And so they projected that without even realizing that they were operating out of pain. And so be the energy you want to attract.
Careful.
Be careful. Yeah, be careful what you're projecting outwards, because that's the energy that you'll receive back. If you don't want to extend the opportunity for prayer and forgiveness, then you will experience people, places, and things that will not extend that to you. Okay? Get them eyebrows done. Wow, Jake. The things we're talking about today are very deep, and
It's time to be careful.
I'm sorry that you don't know how to talk about, deep emotional trauma You're very superficial, and that says a lot about you. So I'm
Edgar.
sorry. I'm sorry you're not able to accept that about yourself. But I hope one day that you get to look at that. They are forgiven, right? It's like, it's such a tough line to walk, you know? It's such a hard line to walk because, yeah, we don't scrutinize butterflies for wanting to change and for wanting to move forward. We have to understand that because of their pain, they were essentially easily manipulated. They were easily gave in to the darkness, okay? Mind control. Mind control. Okay? What else? If you want your garden to grow, what thoughts are you nurturing? If you want forgiveness, who are you not forgiving? If you want prayers, who are you not extending prayers to? I'm sorry for you that you get many trolls. Oh, that's okay. They need love too. They need love too. They're only here because they don't get the energy that they need. I am creating the life of my dreams. Yeah. That's the thing about these people. They operated in an energy where they thought they were getting everything they wanted. But when you have emotional wounds and when you have
I'm right next to you.
when you need power and control, you're already operating out of your shadow. It's in the letting go and the surrendering of control where you find that you never had control to begin with, and that control is the
You are
illusion.
very kind.
The need for control of an outcome to go in your favor, or to have you look a certain way, or for people to view you a certain way, it was never real to begin with. Oh, I'm not going to show that. There's something about that I don't know,
You should dig here.
makes me feel weird. You are the whisper I long to hear when the world is shouting. All right. What else? What else do you want us to know? So there's a lot of things coming through. Confirmation. Okay. So what can we expect? What are some things that we can expect from the powers that be, and how can we maneuver around it? What's the energy we should stay on? What would you like us to know? Criminals don't arrest themselves. Live to humanity. Yeah, it's true. You know, it's so tough because usually people with mental illness, especially people who've been doing ritualistic magic and witchcraft, which is the beast that's talked about in Revelations, it's witchcraft, and all of us have been put under illusions through ritual abuse and through false traditions that were created by these people to perpetuate a machine. They need a energy machine, and so we're definitely walking out of that. Hey, Robin.
I've been here 400 years.
But the problem is that people with mental health, thanks for being here, Robin, can never admit that they are mentally unwell. You know, mentally unwell people have a hard time accepting that they're unwell, because accepting that would shatter their illusion, would shatter their identity, and they'd have to start over. And when you're so fragmented and you're living in an illusion and you've created this whole reality, that's a really hard pill to swallow, that the way you've been living the whole time has been a lie, and that everything you've done to maintain this lie has actually hurt people, has actually crossed so many lines. And when you have done so many things operating in your shadow, it's like, how do you come back from that? And that's like the energy that these people are walking in. So it's just easier to deny that they had any. That's why narcissists can never take accountability. And basically, the Legion is a narcissist because they can't ever admit that they aren't perfect, that they aren't who they said they are, and for them, that's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah, my karmic spiritual spouse been doing magic on me for more than 10 years. I wonder if we're going to be able to come back. I don't think so. I don't
Demons.
I don't think so. There are demons. Yeah, because their control it's in reverse. They don't have control anymore. They had control at one time in this way, but it's just the cycle we're going into, the age of Aquarius, and the where we're at in the solar system. We're closer to the sun more than ever in thousands of years. We're going into a golden age, and a golden age is the largest chunk of cycles out of the ages. And so it's going to be a long time. I believe it's over 20,000 years that we'll stay in a golden age, and we're at the very, very tippy beginning of this golden age. And so this is the chunk of time where we have to shift our consciousness and realize the illusions that have been put over us on a macro scale, and like the one said, on a micro scale, because they do ritual magic. They do. And that's why you'll find in this time, in the timeline that I'm on, if you guys are watching, you're on my timeline, we've had people from workspaces, family spaces, lovers, ex-lovers that have succumb to using spiritual warfare on those of us waking up, because there's always going to be a couple and destroy, and the Legion that operates wants to target these people so that way we're not waking up other people. Okay, but the Legion has known this whole time that this was going to happen. Obviously, in Revelations, there's certain spiritual laws that they have to abide by. They have to tell you what's going to happen because they're using divination and abusing it. They're reading people's timelines. They're getting readings on people. Yeah, the Legion wants to destroy us. It's not going to happen, but this happens every cycle. It's just part of the cycle. They get, it's the Titans. The Titans are allowed to come out, run amok. They do what they do. They need to operate on a 5D and 4D astral realm, and then it comes into physicality through the news outlets and the doctors and the big pharma. That's how it's comes down to physicality, all the ways that they oppress us on the physical realm. But it does happen on a micro scale through our personal lives. And so we're in this interim where judgment has been called, and
No, that's wrong.
And people Spirit said, no, that's wrong. And judgment has been called, and Yeshua and the ascended masters and God and the angels they've given these people many, many opportunities to do it differently, to do something different. But because they're just so fragmented, they're literally not operating as themselves. And so why are they so afraid to just accept what they've done? Why are they so afraid to just accept what they've done and just go through it? Just peel that band-aid off. The Hunter. Predestination sure-footedness in reverse, because they don't want to hang themselves. Those cards are garbage. So is your brain. Well, we love you, Richard. We hope that you heal, Richard. Thank you, Robin. We hope that you heal. We hope that you stop needing to attain, to create negative emotional responses to feel alive. We're sorry that you have to do that. We hope that that changes for you. So, because they know it's the end. That's why. Because there's radical changes coming, and that everything they do or everything they did is going to be revealed. They were warned so many times to not continue doing this, because the more that they continue to do it, pride, because of pride. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. B. It's because of pride. God told them, you can do whatever you want, but the more you continue to try to create these illusions and do these things to the collective, the worse you will fall. It's better to fall upon your own blade than to continue, cutting up the collective. You can, oh, I'm sorry, I have spirit burps. Spirit gave them many chances to just rip the Band-Aid off and to reveal truth through their own, by their own standards or their own actions, but they're so prideful in that they don't want everyone to know who they truly are, because of embarrassment, because that's the narcissist's ultimate, that's Legion's ultimate thing they don't want, because it basically sheds a light on them and reveals how they operate, and that they're ill, and then once they reveal how they operate, it starts to become the illusion breaks, because now we understand that you've been mentally unwell this whole time, and we've allowed mentally unwell people to be in our lives and to not hold them accountable, and then they don't get to feed anymore. They don't get the attention anymore. Nobody's going to want anything to do with them. And these are entities or energies that are fragmented, that cannot produce their own vital force. And so losing their attachment to the collective and feeding off of our emotional reactions will quite literally starve them. And they'll feel alone and empty, and because they're not healed emotionally. Okay, the queen is down. I have, oh my God, look at this. I have the king on one hand and the queen on the other, because the monarchy is falling, you guys. You can't do ritual abuse going into the future. You can't have these negative thoughts. And we always say all the time, witchcraft.
I'm sitting beside you.
Witchcraft is also associated with your emotions and your negative thoughts. Your emotions and your thoughts are electric. We're photonic beings, and so consciousness is electric. So when you're operating in a vessel, and you're going about your lives, and you're being friends with people you hate just because you want to wish ill on them, you're watching people that you envy, and you wish hatred upon them through your thoughts. That's witchcraft. Okay, that is thoughts and emotions, negative emotions that are quite literally rotting your insides and being projected out onto people that have no idea, and it becomes a psychic attack or a spiritual attack, because you're wishing ill will on people who don't wish ill will on you. Okay, so that's Maleficent. So that's the powers that be. They operated in this way for so long that they felt untouchable. And they started to love what they were doing. It started to become fun for them. It reminds me of the movie. I'm getting the movie where they that girl married into the family, and then as soon as they got married, she became hunted, and it was like a game to hunt her. It's like the richest people getting away with murder for so long that they think they're untouchable, and that God must not exist, and that their God exists because God doesn't come down and strike them with lightning. But that's not like it's not how it works. God wants you to choose, wants to see what your choice is. And so it's not up to God to come down and smite you, because ultimately what you're doing is you're entrapping yourself, and you
My name is Elizabeth.
punish yourself. And there's no amount of punishment that God can do that you can't do to yourself, because you are operating in this energy where you thought you were untouchable and you were hurting people. And so we're photonic, and we live in a magnetic universe. And so it's not that God's going to punish you or smite you. It's that you are literally, because it's like a giant torus field, and we're walking toruses. And the energy that you emit from your mind and your heart go in and out like this over and over and over again. And so when you think that you're untouchable and you can hurt anyone and there's no consequences and you can get whatever
Forgive me.
you want this way, that's an energy that's going in, and then it's going out, and eventually it has to come back up and then go back out, and now it's in your reality now. And so that might take a little bit of time, because the more you're disconnected, or the more your field is distorted by all these things you've done, it's very dirty. It might take a little longer for the energy to be recycled. So it might take years and years and years and years, but eventually we're at a point in the solar system where we're so close to the sun that we get a lot of solar flares, and we might not feel them on a physical level, but on a spiritual level, it's actually shedding light on those dirty parts of your field, and it's actually like clearing it. So your mind is actually experiencing the lack of you identifying your shadows, and they're being forced to come into your awareness. And that's why there's going to be a lot of people experiencing mental health at this time, and they're going to appear to be possessed, because they're quite literally empty vessels with all kinds of things attached to their fields. So I don't know, there's something encouragement. Thank you, Spirit. So what do you want us to do about that? How should we handle people, places, and things that are showing these signs of mental unwellness? Cause and effect. I told you, cause and effect. Inheritance, correction, the guide. Spirit's like, guide him out. You got to guide him out. This is a time for us to have radical kindness, radical forgiveness, radical acceptance, and radical truth. You're going to have to tell those people how you feel, and you're going to have to tell those people when they're operating that way. Like, and you don't have to do it in a mean way, or it's going to start. If you want it to change on a macro scale, it's going to start on a micro scale within your own family dynamics. If you have exes that have been perpetuating spiritual warfare against you, well, how are you being affected by that? What are you allowing them to do to affect you? Have you cut that cord? Do you keep inviting them back in? Do you have a boss at work that's constantly belittling you or making you feel inadequate? Well, how are you going to speak your truth, and how are you going to treat them with kindness at the same time? It starts on a micro scale. If you are noticing injustices around you, or you're friends with people who do horrible things, are you going to continue making excuses for them and being friends with them. It's going to start on that type of scale. And so it's up to you to identify those. It's up to you to open your eyes and get the clarity about the people and places and things in your life that are
You must help.
showing you unwellness, imbalances. Okay? Yeah, because we're in this transition right now where there's, people slowly waking up, and we're not taught in our society of how to step into our spiritual abilities and how to clear our field and how to protect ourselves. And Spirit always says, you can do it yourself. Just ask us for help. And so if you're having a difficult time in this transition, ask your spirit team for guidance, because they're the ones who are going to know where you're at energetically. There's no guru or teacher or life coach outside of you that's going to know your energy better than Yeshua, better than Mother Mary, better than Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm just saying ascended masters that you can absolutely ask for help. And the way that it will show up for you will be right for you. And it might not happen instantly in the second you ask for it.
1,700.
But if you're willing to ask first and then be open to the way it comes to you, you'll get your answers, and you'll slowly start to call back the fragmented pieces of yourself so you can walk in this new energy. Because if you're not willing to admit that you have fragmented parts of yourself, and there are pieces, fragmented pieces of yourself that may have been taken when you were a child that you don't even remember. Oh, thank you so much for the 6-7. That you don't even remember. And I know for myself, speaking from my own experience, I was like, I'm gathering the pieces and components for the new episode for Spirit and Identity. And I have so many components. I'm like, Spirit, is that it? Like, because I don't feel like it's ready yet. Like, what am I missing? And Spirit's like, no, you have a couple things that we want to show you. And it had to do with childhood memories. I had a lot of repressed childhood memories that are directly correlated to wounds I have that I was repressing. And so Spirit, when you ask your spirit team for guidance through retrieving the fragmented pieces of you through that you lost through abuse as a child that you might not remember, it happens very slowly. And once you move through the actions that Spirit's guiding you through, because you don't want to take on too much and then you go into psychosis. You don't want to retrieve too many without integrating them back into your energy field, and then you leave yourself open to intrusive thought, and you backtrack a little. So it's you ask your spirit team, how can I remember the fragmented pieces I want to integrate? And they'll start doing that for you. And I had a spontaneous memory recollection in the shower when I was putting Epsom salt on my feet. Spirit's like, you need to use salt. And I don't know why it works. I don't know why. Spirit says it doesn't matter why. It just, if it helps you, what is it? If it helps and it doesn't hurt, then what do you need to know the why for? That's the feminine energy. You don't always have to have a logical explanation for why it works if it works. So I was rubbing the salt on my feet, and I thought about a parental figure, and I started to cry because my wound is directly associated with this parental figure.
Salem.
And in that moment, I got a fragmented memory, because I have a lot of fragmented memories of moments in childhood that are, missing pieces. And in that moment, I got a piece of a memory, and I remembered what happened and why I was rejected. And it had to do with ritual abuse that was performed on the parent, and then the parent performed it on me. And if I had remembered that, 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, that would have really put me in a spiral. And so what I realized is that spirit was actually protecting me until I came to a level of awareness in my consciousness by doing the work and by finding joy and by matching divine energy, where I was in a place to accept that fragmented memory. And now I'm in this, now that happened a few days ago. So now I'm in a place where, okay, I've accepted that that's where it started, and I have the awareness and I have the clarity. I have the clarity of what I asked for. And now I have to integrate that back into my everyday life. So now this is the time, and who knows how long it'll take. It could take days, weeks, months, years. It's not about knowing how long it'll take. It's about allowing it to take as long as it needs. And so the integration is, when I think about that moment that I had forgotten, and the whole reason why this parent, rejected me, you're going to think about those things every day. It's going to pop up in your head, and it's going to make you choose. Do I choose to, hey Drake,
in my chest.
am I going to choose to dwell on it and water that negative thought and that memory and think of all the pain it brought me and the anger that it could elicit by why that parent did that? Or am I going to accept that that parent was only operating out of an energy that was projected onto them? They're just perpetuating a cycle or generational curse that was put onto them unconsciously. Because it's not pretty, it's ugly, and it's scary, and it's it's not fun. Okay, of course. Everything's going to be okay. We love you. Oh, I love you too. Thank you. But that's what I'm saying, is you're loved no matter what. You went through the abuse. You're gaining back your memories and the origins of, what happened. And I choose to forgive. I forgive them. They were only perpetuating what was done to them. And it's the same with anyone who's in a cycle of abuse and narcissism, a curse. Anyone who's stuck in a curse. 2121 in the chat. It's a sad cycle. I also endured with my folks as well. Learning to dismiss my original bullies has now made them call me the bully for having boundaries. Yes, me too. And what I realize in that as well is that, we're their mirror. I was sick. We're the ones who are pointing out that what they remember what they did. We were just a child, and so we didn't ask for that to be done to us, but they didn't ask for that to be done to them. And if they didn't do it to us, then we wouldn't be at the level of awareness that's needed at this time. So it's like, we're not like them. And it makes me really sad that I'm gonna cry. I feel bad for them. They went through a lot, and it's like, how do you get out of that in that energy? When they were going through that, for me, it was, in the 50s for those parents. That was a time where the level of consciousness and the age of information just wasn't as prevalent. And so I always wonder, I say, would they have been able to overcome that curse if they were in the time I'm at now, if they were, my age and able to see themselves, I hope so. Yeah, and I hope that the next life they live, they'll be able to, you know, break the curse for themselves. I was born in the 50s and I looked back at all of this and I see everything as a delusion. Yeah, absolutely, Robin. And, that's really, that's so funny. I just said that because, you're definitely someone who understands things from a higher perspective. So, and the truth is within your soul. Absolutely. But what this memory made me realize about my parent is that the very act that they were perpetuating, that I remembered, that very moment is the moment where they rejected me because I knew the truth, because I saw them. And how can you accept someone who sees what you really are? You know? Especially when you're so ashamed and guilt-ridden about what you couldn't stop, what you couldn't resist, what you couldn't have discipline for. And you, no matter how bad it hurt you, you just couldn't help but do it too, because it was done to you.
Not scary, just tired.
It's like, of course you would reject the very thing that's calling you out. And of course you wouldn't want that thing to grow, because why would you want that thing to grow and exceed what you are, even though what you did, it's just, I don't know. I'm just having a revelation. We all are in survival mode till we stop positioning ourselves as weak. We can overcome those uncomfortable moments. Look for the saints. It always backfires until they realize they are a saint. Well, what I realize about the memory that I had of this parent is that when the memory of them being in the act of what they're ashamed of, when I remember seeing them that way, it was like it wasn't even them. It was like they were feeding. It wasn't even out of pleasure, or wasn't even out of fun. It wasn't because it was a good time. It was literally just needing it, like feeding. It was like a feeding. And it was like animalistic. It was very like animal. And it just wasn't them. It wasn't them. And so what I choose to do is, as I integrate this memory, I'm going to accept the things that I cannot change. And what I'm really so grateful for is that every time it happened, I thought, well, it's both. Every time that this act happened by a parent and whoever else was involved, is the strongest time where I was in direct contact with my guides. And my guides would pull me out of that moment, and so I don't have any direct memory of the moment, like in the moment. It was always before and after, where I, that's why the memories were fragmented, because on my spirit team, my guides protected me from the actual moment of impact. And so every time it happened, the memory I have is just being with my guides and playing with them and going on adventures with them, because I was out of my body. I was not there experiencing it. I was out of my body. So I am really grateful for that. And so I choose to water that
Street.
I'm so grateful to have had that. And I forgive all parental figures that could not have the discipline or the control to stop perpetuating the curse that was placed upon them. And I forgive them. And I hope that they can forgive themselves for acting unconsciously and feeling like they needed to do that in order to feel good. And I hope that they can break the curse the next time around. Mine was beatings because I wouldn't let that masculine into my feminine space. At 10 years old, I fought him off. So from that day on, he decided that I was going to be beaten. I got over that though. Yeah, that's funny you brought that up, Robin, because for me too, the minute that I called them out and decided to not participate is the minute I was rejected by them, my whole family. And I realized that this is a curse on my whole family, even my cousins and stuff. And I have fragmented memories of perpetuating the cycle with my cousins, and I have a very distinct memory of when I said, why do we do this? Why are we doing this? And it was after, a time where we were, doing it, and I said, why do we do this? And I just very innocently, why do we keep doing this? I don't think I want to do it anymore. It was just like that. It was just like a decision. And even with my parental figure, when I saw them in the act and I realized what was happening, I just got up and I was like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I don't want to do that. It's just so matter of fact. I just made a choice. And that was the minute I was rejected by all of them, that I wasn't going to be the one that, kept doing it. And that made them feel shame because they did not feel that way. They wanted to keep doing it because they're not doing it out of pleasure. They're doing it for energy, because they don't have, because that is a way that they feed off of energy, because they have energy attachments from the abuse that they went through. And so if they're not abusing others, then they're not feeling like they're feeling guilt and shame. They have to bring in, they have to have the whole family doing what they're doing in order for them to feel good about it, We have to do soul retrieval. Yeah, absolutely. Space, and I was pretending to talk to some little people around me for an hour and stay in the bathroom to do that. I remember now. Are you talking about your guides? Is it that it was communicating with my guides? Yes, it was your guides. Absolutely. Yeah, me too. I have some, and that's what I would say is that we're all psychic. A lot of us have had, these moments where we were being abused and we went outside of our bodies and our guides were there to make sure that we were provided for in that moment. And then when the act was done, you go back into your body and you don't remember the actual act, but you remember the after part, and so that's what I'm saying. I'm grateful for that they protected me from that. And so how could I ever ignore that my guides ever exist when they did so much to protect me? So having a relationship with your guides is so important, because you don't know at what level they protected you from something that you don't remember. And so our next episode of Spirit News is Spirit and Identity. Spirit is directly connected to your identity as in a human vessel. And so, a lot of us have identity problems because of things we can't even remember that that are affecting us emotionally and that are fragmented. And so you cannot heal something that you don't remember, but you can absolutely be affected by it emotionally, even though you don't remember it. I kept talking for 1 hour in secret, pretending I was talking to my people, and I remember that I loved them, and I was speaking to them as they were important. Yes,
Bernadette.
it was your guides. Absolutely. 100%. It's not that you were pretending. It's that you were telepathically speaking to something that wasn't there. So, in your mind, it's like, am I making this up? That's kind of like how it is when you speak to your spirit team. You're like for the first part of my spiritual journey into mediumship, like for the past 5 years, the first like 3 years, I was like, am I making this up? Like, how do I know I'm not talking to myself? But it's kind of like both. You're talking to yourself and your guides, but the ways your guides talk to you is not like a human talks to you. It's through your emotions, it's through visions, it's through feeling. So in your mind you might be processing it as like pretending, but really on a 5D level you're not pretending, you're imagining, and that is divine, and that is your guides. Everything is coming back to me. I forgot. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so here for you. It's coming back to me too. And I just want, I just want that parent to know that it was their sole mission, to activate me in that way, so that way I could step into this predetermined destiny to be of service. My ultimate mission was to be of service, and unfortunately in this earth realm, abuse, especially as a child, is what can catapult you into having spiritual abilities quicker, because it allows you to understand, when you're going outside of your body, you get to understand spiritual concepts a little bit better, but it's through the fragmenting, through the abuse, that helps you get to that level. It was automatic until 10. Yeah, my abuse was until I was like 7, and then
You've been before.
and then because that's when I like called them out, or I decided, I was like, I literally said, why do we keep doing this? Like, why do we do it? I wanted to know why. Like, it's not like fun. It was almost like just out of habit, it was almost just like, well, this is what was done to us since we were, before we could even walk. And this is what, it's weird. It was just like, well, it wasn't logical it didn't have any, the abuse we were perpetuating didn't have like,
It's very nasty here.
in my mind, it didn't have like a good outcome. So I was like, it was just like out of boredom or something, or just something that
Helen.
was taught to us. So we just like, we're perpetuating. So I was like, why do we do this? Like, what do we get out of it? Like, what's the point, And every time we do it, I'm going outside of my body and I'm coming back in, and I don't even remember kind of like what we did. But as I grew up, I was like, I kind of know what we did. It's like a weird place to be in. But, yeah, so thank you for letting me share that. I had to definitely share that. I just had that epiphany not that long ago. The interesting dichotomy is how the medical industry and the psychological industry considers this type of knowledge psychotic, yes. But I want to remind you, you're not the psychotic one there. Yes, thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin. Yes, absolutely. It's because when you're a narcissist, you invert the truth, right? It's inverted. And so you have to make things that seem logical, illogical, and illogical logical. It's a habit. And so it's the breaking of the habit, or the curse, or the generational curse, that where the fractioning off happens, where the black sheeping happens, where the one person who becomes consciously aware that this abusive ritual abuse habit is not like useful. It doesn't get us anything. It doesn't like
Believe us.
it doesn't like move us forward in any way. There's no like outcome for it, you know? So, out of boredom, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Strict, controlling, narcissistic parents. They are trying to kidnap my son. Oh, so sorry. I've been through that too. Absolutely, I've been through that too. Yeah, they're because they want to use the thing that they know you love the most to try to break you or have like an emotional reaction. Spirit, do you have do you have any advice for divine feminine right now? You have any advice for divine feminine right now? I apologize to my body. Intimacy. This card is about bodily guilt and forgiveness for neglect, shame, self-criticism, and about beginning to treat yourself with care. Do I treat my body with respect and care? What would I like to apologize to my body for? I forgive myself. Hug me. Yeah, there's these narcissistic parents that have created these illusions around themselves, around intimacy, and
We want to protect you.
you know, things they did that were projected onto them as a child that they projected onto their children because nobody cared about their body. Nobody cared about them. Nobody treated them with respect. Nobody taught them how to love themselves the way they were. They were just an object of somebody's, you know. They were treated like a whole, you know. I do not have any knowledge in this. My spiritual awakening started 6 months ago. Only I was talking to my guides when I was really small. Now I'm 29. Just started to enter your life, by the way. Well, I know when they were trying to take my kids away, and it's kind of like I have choice right here that fell out, choice, and what I didn't say. It was a test for me to see how I would react, you know, not by the parents or the people around me, but by God, confirmation. And it's almost like an
I've
initiation,
seen worse than you.
you know, like, what are you going to do in this moment? Like, are you going to react emotionally and act erratic? Because that's what they want you to do. Or are you going to, I had to walk away even from my kids for a short amount of time because I had to show people that I wasn't what they were saying I was. And the reason why my parental figures were creating this illusion about me is because I started to step into my spiritual abilities, and they didn't want me to see or anyone else, or for me to tell anyone else what they did. And so it became, you know, I became the enemy